And this video, we're going to do our next review of Almost Human. Okay, guys, welcome back. So this episode, which is called Blood Brothers, was a very good episode. I enjoyed it a great deal. It's funny, I had mentioned before I would love to see more of Captain Maldonado, and we got a good dose of her here. You got to see her in action in court, and it was a good episode. The main villain in the episode, and I can't remember his name right now, and I don't even know who the actor is, but I really liked the villain. And the actor who portrayed him did an excellent job. Obviously, Kenix and Dorian had, they continue their very humorous and very funny professional relationship. Where the opening scene, you see Kenix kind of waiting for Dorian, and finally he gets impatient. He goes down to get him, and it's almost like a locker room full of droids. And he rolls up on a droid that has no clothes on, and the guy's got no genitalia. And later on, Kenix refers to him as a Ken doll. And if you haven't seen the episode, I'm sorry to spoil it for you, but he literally looks like a Ken doll. He's got two legs, and right here is just all blank. And and Dorian comes out. He's like, "What are you doing in here?" It was hilarious. It was so funny. And then they're they're in the car and they're driving down the road. And I love the car scenes. That's when you're gonna get probably the most comedy from them too. And it's a good spot for it because there's usually nothing crazy going on when they're in the car, either driving to work or driving wherever. And it's funny because when there is a car scene where they have to get somewhere and it's serious, you don't really get the joke. So I like the way they kind of use the car as a way to really flush out the humor and not try to get it caught up with all the serious action that goes on usually later on in the episode. But he's in the car with Dorian, and he says, Kenix is like, "So you're not kind of built like," and then Dorian's like, "Oh, no, no, no." And Kenix is, "Well, I don't understand. I mean, what do you do with it?" And Dorian says to him, "Oh, the same thing you do, nothing." And then like a couple of seconds later, like Dorian's like, "Hey, you want to see it?" And he pulls his Jimmy out. He pulls out his droid Jimmy. Obviously, you just assume they don't show it. And Kenix is like, "Is that all for one person?" I mean, I know some people don't like it. I find it hilarious. I really enjoy it, and I think it's because it's not necessarily the joke of the delivery. It's the chemistry between the two characters, the two actors, and how they deliver and how they kind of feed off of each other. I think that has more of an impact on it than anything else. But it was a very, very funny scene. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So in the episode, basically, the premise of this episode is that this man is convicted of murder, and there are eyewitnesses that saw him commit the murder, but there's no proof that he was there. There's no DNA. There's no hand fingerprints or whatever the case may be. And because of the concern for the witnesses actually do their testimony holographically, which I thought was very cool. Because once they linked the holograph, it almost looked like the person was there, and they even set up their chair in a position so that when they sit down, it looks like they're sitting down on a chair in the courtroom. Very, very cool. And then later, during one girl's testimony, somebody breaks into where she is, dispatches her guardians, but the other witness who hears all the commotion, she manages to get away. So later on, Dorian finds her because Dorian is the cool robot dude that has all the scanning and all this stuff. They bring her down to the precinct, they interview her, and she reveals herself to be a medium. Now, obviously, if you've seen the show by now, you already know Kenix's reaction. He thinks she's full of crap and she's a bit of a wacko, where Dorian is a little bit more open-minded to the idea of a medium. And she's trying to convince him that she is talking to the girl who got killed, the other witness who was testifying right in the middle of the time she got shot. And everybody in the courtroom spazzed. Could you imagine that in the future? So, anyway, after the interview, she decides that she wants to take off. She's getting an important message from the girl, and she's got to go do something. And Kenix and Dorian track her down, and they take her back because their biggest fear is that somebody will try to kill her, and then the case is lost. So what happens is they take her in the car, they drive off, they get cut off, and all these other soldiers, like these 3 or 4 guys, pop out of this truck. They're wearing masks. Now, this part was a little bit unbelievable. They're shooting down the car. I mean, they are wailing on the car with machine guns or whatever. And you see Dorian and Kenix in the front. They're ducking. The girl is in the back. She's ducking. And of all the bullets that got unloaded on that car, one person gets hit, and it happens to be the girl in the back. A little bit unbelievable, a little bit unrealistic. I kind of think Dorian and Kennick should have gotten a couple of bullets themselves. But okay, you know what? We'll roll with it. So she gets shot. She goes to the hospital. Dorian is kind of like her guardian angel there, while Kennick is trying to investigate. Finally, Kennick kind of starts to realize something, and he asks one of the other droids to put his line on private. The droid does it for him, and he makes some contacts. Meanwhile, one of the investigators that she doesn't really go on the field too much, she's kind of more like a forensics, and her name I can't remember either. She goes to the convict's house to get information on him that she can give to her captain. And I missed it. I wasn't too sure whether she got a search warrant or not. I don't even think they even went that route. I just think they figured we assumed that she has a search warrant. She gets into the house, and she gets some information. And then all these guys come out that look just like the convict, and they grab her. Now, just because now I'm saying this, and I just remembered, after the whole shootout scene with Kennick, Dorian, and the girl in the car, Kennick managed to shoot one of the men that came out of the truck. And when he pulled up his mask, it revealed that apparently this guy's been cloning himself. So he's got a bunch of clones out there. And the way he's finding the cops is that in the beginning of the show, when he shot one of the androids, he took like their communications device, and he's been using that to listen to communication between all the cops. That's how he found the girl in his house. That's how he found Dorian and Kennick with the witness. So back to the girl in the house. She gets captured. They hold her ransom to free the original. Excuse me. The original. Again, I can't remember his name. I do apologize. But basically, the originator of all the other clones, and such a clever scene. So they agree to free him and bring them to his clones in exchange for the girl officer. So Captain Maldonado goes, frees him. They're walking down the hall, and then you realize that they're doing a holographic image while she's walking down the hall to make it look like she's walking out with him out where they're meeting. Such a clever scene. It was so cool. And she's walking slowly because she only has so much room before she reaches the end of the hall, and she's got to open the door. But it was an awesome scene. I thought it was so cool. The scene with the holographs in this particular episode, with the courtroom and the ending scene with the exchange. As simple as it was, I enjoyed it. And she starts running out of room, and then right as they start getting close, like a flock of birds fly right behind her and the convict, and they flash, and then the clones realize it was a hologram, it was a hoax. But nonetheless, Kennick ends up shooting him down. The girl is saved. One of them gets away in the truck. Dorian runs down the truck and flips it over, which I didn't even know he had that kind of power, especially after last week during the bends when he fought that big android and he got his ass whipped. But yeah, apparently Dorian's got some strength he and some speed. He ran down a speeding van, and he literally flipped it over. Again, and pardon me, this it's been a long day, and that's basically it. I mean, it was a solid episode. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The jokes in the beginning were great. I really like the show, but I have to admit, it is kind of suffering in the ratings. I've been kind of watching the rating numbers, and it's steadily going down, which is unfortunate. I'm hoping that it doesn't get chopped, but there is a good chance. It started off with like 10 or 9, and it's steadily been dropping like 7, 6, and then last week I think was 5. I think this episode was better. I think with this episode, they might get some numbers back, but, we'll have to wait and see. And then, obviously, at the end of the show, Kennick has a drink with the girl who he saved, and they're kind of hinting at a romantic relationship with them for the last couple of episodes. In fact, in this episode, Dorian portrayed her voice in the car in the beginning during that whole scene with his privates, and was teasing Kennick about going into a relationship with her. So, but anyway, a very fun episode. I really do like the show. I know a lot of people are not too high on it, but I'm having a lot of fun watching it. This episode was, to me, better than the last one. Last one was pretty good too, but this episode to me was probably one of the better ones so far this season. So, and plus, like I said, I like Lily Taylor. I think she's a solid actress. So it was nice to really see her and a little bit more involved in this episode. She had a couple of choice words with the convict in the beginning and at the end of the show that I thought were really solid. And overall, I enjoyed it. It was a great episode. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Hopefully it lives, because I think Karl Urban and Michael Ealy are having a great on-screen chemistry. They do need to improve on the writing a little bit. This episode, I think, was a good improvement, But it's not perfect. It does have room to improve. I like the comedy aspect and how they use the car to kind of use that moment for the comedy before all the serious stuff goes down. So, and lastly, I just want to apologize for not having this video up last night. As you well know, if you're a regular channel viewer, the whole Godzilla thing is going on. I've been very much involved with that. It's a hot topic right now, but I don't want to neglect any of my other content. So here it is, the review for Almost Human. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next video. Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host Rob, and this video we're going to do our next review of Almost Human. Okay guys, welcome back. So this episode, which is called Blood Brothers, was a very good episode. I enjoyed it a great deal. It's funny, I had mentioned before I would love to see more of Captain Maldonado, and we got a good dose of her here. You got to see her in action in court, and it was a good episode. The main villain in the episode, and I can't remember his name right now, and I don't even know who the actor is, but I really liked the villain. And the actor who portrayed him did an excellent job. Obviously, Kenix and Dorian had, they continue their very humorous and very funny professional relationship, where the opening scene, you see Kenix kind of waiting for Dorian, and finally he gets impatient, he goes down to get him, and it's almost like a locker room full of droids. And he rolls up on a droid that has no clothes on, and the guy's got no genitalia. And later on, Kenix refers to him as a Ken doll, and if you haven't seen the episode, I'm sorry to spoil it for you, but he literally looks like a Ken doll. He's got two legs, and right here is just all blank. And Dorian comes out, he's like, "What are you doing in here?" It was hilarious.